guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Today we are on our next excursion on our journey to an organized kitchen, and we are talking about how to organize your kitchen collections. So those collections of items that you keep in the kitchen and you love them, but you want to make sure that they are displayed in a way that brings more joy to your day. So professional organizer Pam, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure.
So our icebreaker question today is, because life is like a box of chocolates, what is your favorite chocolate truffle from the box of chocolates?
I would have to say milk chocolate on the outside and a vanilla cream on the inside. Yes.
Classic. Awesome. So for these collections, what are some examples of collections that some people may keep in the kitchen?
Yes, teaspoons. I don't know if when you go to tourist areas, there often will be places for a small teaspoon, and there'll be a picture or the name of the state or the event that you've been at. Another thing can be coffee mugs, and I see some coffee mugs behind you. And then also teacups and saucers, so many beautiful, different, and teacups and saucers are unique. You don't have to have 4 of a kind, the same kind. And so a lot of people will collect one teacup and saucer from every kind of collection of dishes that they love. And then another thing is pottery bowls. People take classes and they throw bowls, and then they end up with all these different sized pottery bowls. And Christmas dishes, that's another category of people who will collect things. They'll collect items for certain holidays, such as Christmas. And then the last one is gifts that you receive. Like, you're a chef, and later you're going to show us some of the things that you get as gifts. They're definitely kitchen oriented. So a collection has occurred, and you haven't done it consciously, but people have chosen things for you that they think you'd like, and then here you have a collection of them.
So do you think spices or cookbooks could also fall within the collections?
Yes, well, definitely cookbooks, because people are very sentimental about recipes. So a lot of people have their original Betty Crocker cookbook, which is a lot of us have grown up with. And then maybe torn pieces recipe cards, which are basically the size of index cards. And so, yes. And then some people tell me, oh, yes, I love cookbooks. I'm always buying cookbooks. So then that is their collection. And there's no limit to desserts, soups, salads, and everything in between.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have done a whole video on organizing recipes and cookbooks. So we'll link that here somewhere. It'll show up. So that if you are focusing on cookbooks specifically, that can give you some extra ideas. But back to our, like coffee mugs and tea saucers, ceramic bowls, sort of collections. What are some ideas of ways to just display those collections, but prevent a cluttered space?
Yes. So number one thing is how high can you store it and still reach it and enjoy it? So that means how high on a wall and on the side of cabinets, how high up can you go? And so definitely you want to avoid putting collections on the countertop, because they are going to collect even more dust there, and they're taking up important space that you use every day for cooking and baking.
So these collection items, even if we use them, we're probably not using them as often as other kitchen utensils.
Yes.
Okay. So we want to see them and enjoy them and use them every once in a while, but we don't want them in the way the rest of the time.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. So then if we are trying to shrink our collections, what are some good questions that we can ask ourselves to figure out what size that collection should be, or maybe what which items bring us more joy than others.
Yes, and that's it, to ask, oh, what are my favorites? Which ones do I love the most? And then those are the ones you're definitely going to want to have displayed. And then, so an example might be you have lots of teacups and saucers, but you'll go onto the internet or go to the store and buy something where you have a saucer and a cup in front, and then underneath there's another shelf. So maybe you would have 5 or 6. And what you do is you would put maybe your 3 most favorite at the top, and then the bottom 3, you would say, okay, these are going to be here for 3 months or 4 months. And then in the garage or in the basement or in the carport, you've got a plastic clear that you can see through, and that says teacups and saucers, and that you would actually then rotate, meaning you would wash the ones you're taking down off your wall, wash and dry them, and then open up the container and take out 2 or 3 more, and then put package these other ones safely in there with bubble wrap or tissue paper or whatever. So that's called a rotation of collection. So you can rotate the whole collection, or you can do a few.
So you can enjoy the whole collection. You don't have to get rid of stuff, but you don't have to display all of it. You can just enjoy it throughout the year.
Exactly. Now let's say you are ready to let go of some of them. So what you can do, again, you've already asked yourself, what are my favorites? And then you could say, okay, if I were going to pick 3 to let go, to release, and do I want to, so release means, do you want to donate it? Do you want to give it to a friend or relative, or donate it to a museum or something? So that's another thing, is to say, how do you want, if you're ready to release it, do you want money back for it? Do you want to sell it? Or do you want to gift it to someone? And then I just recently saw in a coffee shop a collection of a gentleman's woodworking things. And the owner was such a fan of this man's work that he bought a whole collection and has put it in the restaurant on shelves. So that's another thing I thought of, is if you're in a kind of town or in the neighborhood where you have a local store or coffee shop, consider, they might really enjoy some of your cool stuff that you would rather have be displayed and have other people see than have it be, in a box. And you could even rotate that. And you could say, you could even be visiting teacups and saucers from, Mrs. Jeanette Miller, courtesy Jeanette Miller, whatever. So what I love about that is when you're passionate about things, people respond to that, and people want to help you. So if you want to get things out there, there are people who would help you do that.
That's such a cool idea. I would have never thought about loaning it to one of your favorite places to go. So earlier you touched on the gifts that sometimes you will receive, and then they end up creating a collection over time. So, these are fun little rubber spatulas that the cute designs on them that are lovely to look at. But you may not want to necessarily use them and mess up the designs.
Right, because the design's going to, so yes, so the thing there would be, you can do something as simple as take a thumbtack on the wall after you've tied a ribbon around and let it hang. And the other thing, you can flip it around and tie something around that, so so it can be a thumbtack. Another cool thing, what this is this is something that you can nail in the wall, and it's thinner than a nail. And so for people in apartments, when you take this out, you don't have to spackle. You can just take your finger. And I wish I knew exactly what this is called. But anyway, this is a cool thing where you can actually try it out. You know, do you like hanging things up before you decide to buy or make a cool rack? You want to make sure that you like things hanging on the wall.
Yeah. Those so they're kind of like push pins, but longer and
Yes.
with a defined edge.
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
And then the other thing would be for those spatulas, especially, would be in a container, you know, so on a shelf, and then they would be sticking out. Yeah, yeah. So you're like, oh, that's beautiful, a picture. Yes. So they go in there, but again, you're like, and then so you could put the colorful ones in the back, and you just know you're just going to look at it. You're not going to. Yeah, you're not going to use it. Or maybe you would, when that person comes to visit, you might use it to show them that you're using it. And then, yeah, so that's what my suggestions for that. So the teaspoons, there are racks where you just pop in the teaspoons. Another thing you can do is you can take just a metal round piece and hang, again, you can hang the, excuse me, hang the spoons from there on twine or ribbons or whatever.
Nice. So you could maybe even make like a dining room centerpiece sort of thing. I feel like out of something like this spoons, or if it's on like a circle or something, so everyone can see something a little bit different.
That's a great idea. And what a conversation starter, because people like to touch things and they're going to look and see, because some of those are small. And then people are going to tell you, oh, I went to Wyoming, or, you know, I've been to Sarasota, Florida, you know, and so it can be very fun way to, and you could even use it, you have them washed, you could say, oh, you know, choose your dessert spoon. And then people can share why did they choose that one. And then moving to the coffee cups, you've got them hanging, which is terrific. You also can do shelves and stack them. There are lots of wonderful stands that you can have on your counter for coffee mugs. You really will hold 4 to 6, but they take up a lot of space. So I think what you've got going on back there is terrific, because they are not just coffee cups, they're a collection, you know, they are beautifying your kitchen.
Absolutely. We will never not have a clean coffee cup. And every day can be a little bit different too. Your little joyful start to the day. Which coffee cup am I going to use?
Yes, yes.
And isn't that like the kind of the point of the collections in our kitchens, is it's going to bring a little bit more fun and a little bit more joy to whatever we're doing in the kitchen around that collection.
Yes, yes. And another thing I wanted to mention is that magnetic boards, they come in all different sizes now. So that's also something you can put on the wall, and then whatever you want, it's going to be things that are not very heavy, but that's a way to also magnetically, and then what's fun is you can move the things around. And with the spoons, there's 2 other things I wanted to share, which is, or anything that's small, is putting it in a shadow box or a regular picture frame. But what you do is you take out the glass so that it's contained and framed, but you can touch it. Whereas a shadow box, usually you'll leave the glass, but you can also take the glass out of a shadow box. It depends on how much you want to dust it, and do you want people to touch them, or do you want people to like just look and you know, don't be manhandling or woman handling my silverware, you know. Just observe it through the glass. So that's another fun thing. And then I saw chandeliers made with spoons and forks, and yeah, so it's people's creativity is amazing. And a mobile, you know, a mobile where you have something hang down and then metal and moving around with the heat and the air conditioning fan. So that's another fun thing. And you know, some of these, especially if you have family heirlooms that are silver, and depending on the thickness, there it's quite a lovely sound when you know, silver meets silver. So that's the other thing. Think about, do you have anything around that you'd like to make a wind chime out of? A collection that,
I love
so
that.
that's
So many good
another option.
ideas.
Pottery, let's talk about pottery that you collect or you've made. So they're lovely, and it is okay to stack them on top of each other. And big pottery things, think about where you'd like to integrate that into the system of storage. So one example is, I know there's many people who will have 7 or 10 or more boxes of tea. Like, do you want some tea? So if you don't have room in a cabinet, it can be kind of cool to have the tea container. And you can actually pick it up and take it over somebody, like you're making the hot water and they're sitting there, and you can just go over there and they can pull it out themselves. And so think also with the pottery, what kind of things would you like to, you love it, you love that color, you want to see it on the counter or on an upper counter, and go ahead and put things in there that you want to be able to have easy access to. And then another thing I want to talk about is when you have collections and you're so distressed that you don't have any family or friends that are, you know, willing to take on the collection and take care of it for you, remember to take pictures. So one thing is, you take pictures of it all, and then you can have those pictures in the cloud. But another wonderful thing is to print out the pictures and then go ahead and put it in a photo album. And then you write, like, you know, this is my favorite because of this and that. And it's a way to express your love and your passion. And then that is something, you know, something that you can pass on to the family is, oh yeah, grandma was just crazy about this. And then, you know, it's your words explaining why you liked it, and you understood that not everybody could go there. And that's why that she hasn't asked you to hold on to these. She's not giving them to you. It's not your inheritance. She's already gone ahead and donated them or sold them, so she'd have the money, you know, she could use the money for something that, or maybe that's part of your inheritance. So to always be asking yourself, because as you know, everybody's sentimental about different things and different amounts. So it's not about changing who you are. It's about embracing you and what will work for you. And so a lot of times people having the pictures to look at can work for them almost as good as touching things. So that's a good thing to notice too, because you know, a lot of people are visual, and there are a lot of people who are tactile and need to touch it. But when you have a love for a collection, it's the shapes, it's the beauty, and that is something that can come through in the photographs.
So you can pass on the photos with stories without having to pass on the physical items if there's just not space. Especially at times you downsize, and it seems the older you get, a lot of times less space you have to keep things. And so it can be a great, so it's not as hard to give them away. It's, you catalog them. That's awesome.
Yes, yes. You know, the documentation, cataloging, it's like you're saying, I was the keeper of these for a while and I was happy to do that. And now it's time to have somebody else enjoy them.
Well, thank you for giving us so many great ideas about how to display items in a way that makes them really fun and great for, guests coming over to also admire, and how to display parts at a time so that you can enjoy the whole collection, but you don't have to have the whole collection in front of you. So Shepherdteers, we hope that you have some great ideas and are excited to curate your collections in the kitchen. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.